Hello and welcome. The prayers of the faithful rise like smoke from countless altars, carrying hopes and pleas into realms beyond mortal sight. Every act of selfless courage, every moment of disciplined righteousness, every sacrifice made in the name of justice sends ripples through the fabric of reality itself. These ripples travel far, reaching a place where virtue has weight and substance, where goodness builds mountains that pierce the very concept of infinity. You have felt its pull, perhaps without knowing, in those moments when you chose the harder right over the easier wrong. Tonight, we journey to the source of that pull, to the most ordered and righteous of all celestial realms. The multiverse arranges itself according to principles both philosophical and physical. Scholars debate the exact configuration, drawing elaborate diagrams of wheels and trees, and countless other metaphors attempting to map the unmappable. Yet certain truths remain consistent across nearly all cosmological models. The outer planes exist as manifestations of alignment and belief, shaped by the fundamental moral and ethical forces that govern existence itself. Among these planes, none stands more prominently as the embodiment of lawful good than Mount Celestia. Formerly known as the seven heavens of Mount Celestia, or the seven mounting heavens of Celestia, depending on which ancient text you consult. This is not simply a mountain that happens to exist on some distant plane. Mount Celestia is mountain as concept, as ideal, as the ultimate expression of what it means to ascend toward perfection through discipline and righteousness. The entire plane shapes itself into this form, 7 distinct layers stacked vertically, each one a plateau on an impossible climb toward absolute goodness. To understand Mount Celestia requires setting aside mortal notions of scale and geography. This mountain extends in ways that defy three-dimensional space, existing simultaneously as a physical location you could theoretically climb, and as a spiritual state you must earn through deeds and character. The base of this cosmic mountain, the first layer accessible to travelers from other planes, bears the name Lunia. Some call it the Silver Heaven, and the moment you set foot upon its shores, you understand why. An ocean of liquid silver stretches in every direction, its surface reflecting the light of stars that burn with perfect, unwavering constancy. These are not the distant suns of the material plane, subject to death and decay. Based on the descriptions of Lunia's perpetual night sky filled with brilliant stars, we can assume these celestial lights represent something more eternal, perhaps embodiments of virtuous deeds or souls that achieved paradise through righteous living. The Silver Sea possesses properties that transcend mere water. When you wade into its shallows, you feel warmth spreading through your body, not the external warmth of heated liquid, but an internal sensation, as if your very essence remembers what it feels like to be pure. The sea is described as consisting of holy water with healing properties, suggesting that wounds close, poisons neutralize, curses lift when immersed in these tides. Even spiritual corruption accumulated through compromise and moral failing could be washed away, leaving you cleansed in ways that go far beyond physical healing. The water tastes sweet without being cloying, refreshing without the sharpness that comes from mortal springs. Drinking it brings clarity to clouded thoughts and peace to troubled hearts. Islands rise from this silver ocean, each one host to communities of petitioners who earned their place here through lives lived in service to law and good. These souls no longer possess their mortal bodies, having shed such temporary vessels upon death. Instead, they manifest in forms that reflect their true nature, often appearing as idealized versions of their living selves, free from the imperfections and scars that mortality inflicted. Some choose to appear as they were in their prime, while others adopt forms that represent what they wished they could have been. And the plane accommodates these desires without judgment. Life on Lunia's islands follows patterns of joyful industry and communal celebration. The petitioners work not because they must, but because purposeful activity brings satisfaction. Farmers tend gardens that produce fruit of extraordinary flavor. Craftspeople create items of functional beauty. Musicians compose hymns that honor the divine. Children play games that teach cooperation and fairness. Every action contributes to the collective good, while allowing individual expression within the framework of order. Arguments rarely occur, not because anyone suppresses disagreement, but because the residents have progressed beyond the petty concerns that drive mortal conflict. Architecture on Lunia tends toward elegant simplicity. Buildings rise from white stone that seems to glow with its own internal light. Columns support temples where the faithful gather to worship deities of the lawful good alignment. Gardens surrounding these structures grow flowers that bloom in impossible colors, their petals arranged in mathematically perfect spirals. Roads of marble connect communities, and these paths remain perpetually clean despite constant foot traffic. The very ground rejects dirt and disorder, maintaining itself without need for maintenance. Between the islands, vessels of various designs sail the silver sea. Ships with sails of pure white cloth carry pilgrims who wish to explore Lunia's vastness. Smaller boats ferry souls between communities for trade and social visits, based on how the plane responds to the needs of its residents. These craft likely require no crew to operate them, responding to the intentions of their passengers and navigating automatically toward desired destinations. Some travelers prefer to swim, finding the silver water invigorating, and the act of propelling yourself through it meditative. The sky above Lunia presents its own wonders. The layer exists in perpetual darkness, yet this darkness feels comforting rather than threatening. Illuminated by countless stars of silver brilliance, these eternal stars emerge in their full glory, painting the heavens with constellations that tell stories of heroic virtue. Archons sometimes appear as shooting stars, celestial soldiers descending from higher layers to deliver messages or recruit worthy souls for important missions. The transition from Lunia to the second layer, Mercuria, comes gradually for those who seek it. Mountains rise from some of the larger islands, their peaks piercing upward through clouds that mark the boundary between the first and second heavens. Climbing these mountains requires more than physical strength. The path tests your commitment to lawful good principles, presenting scenarios that force choices between competing virtues. A traveler might encounter someone in need of help, knowing that stopping to assist will delay their ascent. The correct choice always involves putting others before self. Those who consistently make such choices find the climb easier, while those who prioritize personal advancement discover the path growing steeper and more treacherous. Mercuria earns its title as the golden heaven honestly, where Lunia bathes in silver radiance. Mercuria glows with golden light that seems to emanate from the very substance of the layer itself. The air here grows thin, causing some new arrivals to feel lightheaded and giddy, though this sensation passes as souls adapt to the higher elevation. The landscape transforms from island-dotted ocean to rolling hills of grain that stretches toward horizons marked by mountain ranges. These are not barren peaks, but fertile highlands where communities of archons and petitioners build fortresses that serve dual purposes as both defensive positions and centers of learning. The architecture here becomes more elaborate while maintaining perfect symmetry. Towers rise at precise intervals. Walls extend in geometrically perfect lines. Gardens follow formal patterns where every plant occupies its designated position in intricate designs, visible only from above. These layouts are not arbitrary decoration, but rather physical manifestations of mathematical principles underlying lawful good philosophy. Walking through Mercuria's cities, you would feel an almost musical harmony in the spatial relationships between buildings, as if the entire layer has been composed like a symphony in stone and metal. Archons patrol Mercuria in disciplined formations, their armor gleaming, their weapons maintained to perfection. These celestial soldiers do not prepare for some imminent attack. Mount Celestia has not faced serious invasion in eons. Rather, they train because discipline itself holds value, because mastery of martial arts represents another form of order imposed upon chaos. Watching these drills reveals beauty in synchronized movement, grace in the coordination of hundreds of individuals acting as one cohesive unit while maintaining their individual identities. The inhabitants of Mercuria engage in crafts and professions that support the ongoing work of lawful good across the multiverse. Smiths forge weapons that paladins will wield against fiends. Scribes copy texts containing philosophical treatises on ethics and morality. teachers instruct younger souls in the principles that govern righteous behavior. Farmers grow crops that will sustain celestial armies. Every profession interlinks with others, creating a complex economy that functions with clockwork precision, yet remains flexible enough to adapt to changing needs. Time in Mercuria feels different from Lunia, where the first layer encourages peaceful contemplation. The second layer pulses with purposeful energy. Days follow clear schedules. Work begins at dawn and continues until dusk with breaks at designated intervals. Meals happen at set times. Social gatherings follow predictable patterns, and even rest adheres to regular cycles. This structure does not confine or restrict, but rather liberates residents from uncertainty, allowing them to invest their energy in meaningful pursuits rather than wasting effort on deciding what to do next. The ascent from Mercuria to Venya, the third layer, becomes noticeably more challenging. Mountains dominate the landscape here, rising in jagged peaks that scrape against skies, growing progressively more luminous. The air thins, but simultaneously becomes more invigorating, each breath filling your lungs with something more than mere oxygen. This could be atmosphere infused with quintessential goodness, and inhaling it produces effects beyond physical sustenance. Your thoughts sharpen, your resolve strengthens. Doubts and moral confusion that might have plagued you in lower realms evaporate like morning dew under intense sunlight. Venya has earned names like the pearly heaven due to the quality of light here. Everything takes on an iridescent sheen, as if viewed through mother of pearl. Colors shift and shimmer based on viewing angle, creating kaleidoscopic effects that somehow never become disorienting. Buildings carved from the mountainsides incorporate this natural property, their facades displaying ever-changing patterns that could tell visual stories of legendary heroes and divine deeds. Rivers flow down Venya's slopes in patterns that defy natural physics while appearing completely natural. Water cascades in braids of multiple streams that never mix, each following its own course before rejoining at predetermined points. These waterways flow in geometric shapes when viewed from above, creating fractals that repeat at different scales. The sound of these rivers produces tones that harmonize with wind rushing through mountain passes, generating ambient music that fills the entire layer with subtle symphony. Communities in Venya tend towards smaller size than those found in lower layers. The residents here have progressed in their spiritual development to points where they require less social interaction to maintain happiness. They work on individual projects that contribute to universal good, often spending decades or centuries on single tasks. A sculptor might carve a statue of a deity from living mountain stone, working slowly and methodically to capture divine essence in physical form. A sage might contemplate a single philosophical question, examining it from every conceivable angle before reaching conclusions that will inform moral teaching for generations of souls yet to arrive. The fourth layer, Selenia, marks a threshold. Souls who reach this height have demonstrated not just adherence to lawful good principles, but deep, fundamental understanding of what those principles mean. The landscape here achieves a crystalline quality, as if the entire layer exists on the edge of transforming from matter into pure concept. Mountains reach heights that make those of lower layers seem like foothills. Valleys between peaks plunge to depths that would be fatal on the material plane, but here serve as spaces for meditation and reflection. Selenia is sometimes called the electrum heaven or crystal heaven, and its soft aura of burnished silver and silvery mists contribute to this otherworldly quality. According to some accounts, this layer serves as home for dwarven petitioners, and the dwarven deity Moradin resides here deep within the mountains, working at his forge, making weapons, dwarves, and other magical items. This suggests that Selenia holds special significance for those who value craft, creation, and the transformation of raw materials into objects of beauty and function. Light in Selenia behaves in ways that suggest it possesses sentience. Beams of radiance curve through the air, following paths determined by beauty rather than physics. They weave between structures, illuminate specific points of interest, and create shadows that somehow enhance rather than diminish the objects they fall behind. Colors here include shades that mortal eyes cannot easily process, wavelengths that exist outside the normal spectrum, hues that evoke emotions for which no language has developed words. The inhabitants of Selenia work on projects spanning timeframes incomprehensible to mortal minds. They construct temples that take millennia to complete, their designs incorporating mathematical principles so complex that understanding them requires centuries of study. They compose music that must be performed over the course of generations, each note separated from the next by years. They write books whose pages must be read in specific patterns determined by astronomical alignments. Waiting decades between chapters, patience ceases to be a virtue consciously practiced and becomes instead a fundamental aspect of existence. Ascending further brings you to Mercian, the fifth layer, where the very concept of physical reality begins to break down. The mountains here consist of solidified ideals, philosophical concepts given enough substance to support weight. You can stand on justice itself, touch mercy as if it were stone, breathe courage like air. The residents here have transformed so thoroughly that calling them souls seems inadequate. They have become living embodiments of lawful good virtues, their individual identities merging with universal principles, while somehow remaining distinct. Quaddles, those magnificent feathered serpents of celestial origin, dance in the air of Mercian. Devas act as messengers for many of the powers that dwell up and down the slopes. The children of gods themselves, Empyreans, dwell in mighty fortresses and command vast hosts, while Pegasi and Holophants serve as war mounts and companions for a wide variety of riders. This layer represents a gathering point for some of the most powerful celestial beings below the rank of true deities. Platinum pathways wind through Mercian's impossible landscape, connecting locations that exist in multiple places simultaneously. Following these roads requires navigating not just physical space, but conceptual relationships. To reach a temple dedicated to compassion, you must genuinely feel compassion. To find a library containing wisdom, you must already possess some measure of wisdom. The layer tests and teaches simultaneously, every journey an opportunity for growth. Gardens grow gemstones in place of flowers, their crystalline blooms chiming in harmonies when wind passes through them. Based on the magical nature of Mount Celestia's higher layers, these gems likely contain concentrated essence of specific virtues, and consuming them could allow temporary channeling of those qualities at intensity impossible to achieve through mortal effort alone. A ruby of courage might grant fearlessness. A sapphire of wisdom could provide insight into complex philosophical questions. An emerald of hope might fill hearts with unshakable optimism. The archons dwelling in Mercian serve as generals and strategists in the eternal cosmic conflict between good and evil. They plan campaigns that span centuries, coordinate efforts across multiple planes, and make decisions with consequences that ripple through reality itself. Their minds contain libraries worth of tactical knowledge, and they perceive time in ways that allow them to observe multiple potential futures simultaneously. When they move armies or dispatch agents, they do so with full awareness of how each action affects countless possible outcomes. Javar, the sixth layer, exists in a state that mortal language struggles to describe. Those rare travelers who have reached this height and returned report landscapes made from memories of perfection, architecture constructed from hope given form, and residents who have shed all traces of individual ego to become pure expressions of lawful good principles. The boundary between self and environment dissolves. You are not in Javar. You become part of Javar, your consciousness expanding to encompass the entire layer, while simultaneously maintaining enough individual identity to remain yourself. A massive 7-layered ziggurat called Yetzirah stands upon Javar's heights. Upon the pinnacle of this ziggurat stands the mythical bridge of Al-Sihul, which provides the only known access to Cronias, the 7th and final layer. This bridge is guarded by a being known as Ziarona of the Heavenly Bridge, who determines which souls possess sufficient purity to cross. Only the most exceptional celestial beings and the most enlightened petitioners inhabit this realm. Planeters are known to visit the 6th layer of Mount Celestia to relax and enjoy fine company between their assigned duties across the upper planes. The residents work toward goals that benefit the entire multiverse. Their actions so subtle and far-reaching that cause and effect separate by eons and dimensions. A thought here might inspire a mortal philosopher on a distant world. A decision made in Javar could prevent a cosmic catastrophe that would not occur for 10,000 years. Time ceases to function in any recognizable way on Javar. Moments stretch into eternities, while eternities compress into instants. Past, present, and future exist simultaneously, overlapping and interweaving, based on the transcendent nature described for this layer. The residents likely move through temporal dimensions as easily as mortals walk across rooms. They remember events that have not yet occurred and anticipate happenings that already concluded. This is not precognition or time travel, but rather existence at a level where linear time represents only one of many possible ways to experience causality. The seventh and final layer, Chronias, remains shrouded in mystery, even to most celestial beings. Access to this ultimate height comes only to those who have achieved absolute perfection in lawful good alignment, a state so rarefied that perhaps no soul has ever truly reached it. Only the truly pure of heart can ever enter this layer, and they never come back down. Some believe the platinum dragon deity Bahamut maintains his primary realm here, ruling over metallic dragons and serving as exemplar of honor and justice. Others suggest Chronias exists as pure potentiality, a place where the concepts of law and good achieve such perfect fusion that they transcend description. The few fragmentary accounts of Chronias describe it as indescribable, a realm where conventional senses no longer apply. Sight, sound, touch, taste, and smell all merge into a single unified mode of perception that somehow encompasses all possible experiences simultaneously. The residents here, if residents truly exist, have transcended individual existence to become aspects of Mount Celestia itself. They are the mountain, and the mountain is them, and both are something greater than the sum of parts. Whatever truth lies at the summit of Mount Celestia, it represents the ultimate destination for souls seeking lawful good perfection. The 7 layers form a spiritual ladder, each rung requiring greater commitment, deeper understanding, and more complete devotion to righteousness. Some souls ascend quickly, racing through the layers in their eagerness to reach higher realms. Others linger on lower levels for eons, finding fulfillment in work and community before feeling ready to climb further. No timeline constrains this journey. Eternity allows ample opportunity for everyone to reach whatever height their spirit can achieve. Mount Celestia stands as testament to what goodness can accomplish when paired with order and discipline. Every stone in every building, every drop in every river, every note in every hymn contributes to a grand design where individual and universal good align perfectly. This is paradise for those who find beauty in structure, who see liberation in law, who understand that true freedom comes not from absence of restriction, but from willing acceptance of righteous constraints. Yet the mountain does not exist in isolation. Its inhabitants do not spend eternity in isolated bliss, disconnected from wider reality. The celestial beings who dwell here serve purposes that extend far beyond their own happiness. They act as agents of goodness throughout the multiverse, defending the innocent, punishing the wicked, and working tirelessly to tip the cosmic balance toward righteousness. Section 2. The celestial beings, angels, archons, and divine servants. The mountains of paradise do not guard themselves. The ideals of law and good do not enforce themselves across the multiverse through abstract philosophy alone. These principles require agents, servants, warriors who embody celestial virtue so completely that their very existence radiates righteousness. These beings take many forms, fill countless roles, and operate across every plane where goodness requires champions. Some tower above mortal heroes in power and majesty. Others work in subtle ways, guiding and inspiring without revealing their true nature. All share unwavering dedication to the cause of good, tempered by varying degrees of law and chaos, depending on their specific nature and origin. At the pinnacle of celestial hierarchy stand the solars, sometimes called solar angels or supreme angels, depending on which theological text you consult. These magnificent beings represent the ultimate expression of angelic power, creatures of such overwhelming presence that merely standing in their vicinity can bring mortals to their knees in awe. A solar stands roughly 9 feet tall when manifesting in humanoid form, though their true nature transcends physical dimensions entirely. Their bodies appear as if sculpted from living bronze or gold, skin gleaming with metallic luster that suggests both strength and beauty. Enormous wings spread from their backs, each feather appearing simultaneously solid and translucent, real and symbolic. The face of a solar captures perfection in ways that mortal minds struggle to process. Their features combine elements that suggest an idealized form, appearing simultaneously masculine and feminine, young and ancient, specific and universal. Eyes burn with inner radiance, sometimes golden, sometimes silver, sometimes displaying colors that exist only in celestial realms. When a solar speaks, their voice carries harmonics that resonate in the souls of listeners, each word layered with meanings that unfold over hours or days as the hearer reflects upon what they heard. Solars serve the greatest deities of good alignment as generals, ambassadors, and champions. They command armies of lesser celestials during conflicts with fiendish forces. They negotiate treaties between rival good-aligned factions. They deliver pronouncements from gods to mortal prophets. They investigate cosmic threats that could upset the balance between good and evil. Their responsibilities require wisdom accumulated over millennia, tactical genius honed through countless battles, and diplomatic skills refined through endless negotiations. In combat, Solars demonstrate why they rank among the most formidable beings in all existence. They wield weapons forged from celestial metals that burn with holy fire, each strike carrying enough power to obliterate lesser fiends. Their mastery of magic rivals that of the greatest mortal archmages, and they can reshape reality through divine will alone. Defensive capabilities match their offensive power. Solars shrug off blows that would destroy mountains, their bodies protected by layers of divine energy that automatically deflect attacks. They regenerate from wounds that would prove fatal to nearly any other creature, their flesh knitting itself back together through sheer force of righteous will. Yet for all their might, solars rarely resort to violence as a first option. They understand that true victory comes not from destroying evil, but from converting it, from showing corrupted souls the path back to goodness. When confronting enemies, a solar first attempts negotiation, offering mercy and opportunity for redemption. Only when these overtures fail do they unleash their full destructive potential, and even then, they take no joy in necessary violence. Each fiend they destroy represents a soul permanently lost to darkness, a failure of good to reclaim what evil has stolen. Solars interact with mortals primarily through visions and divine missions. A paladin might receive a dream where a solar delivers instructions from their deity. A cleric might witness a solar manifesting in their temple to consecrate a holy relic. A party of adventurers might encounter a solar who recruits them for a quest too subtle for direct celestial intervention. These beings understand that mortals possess free will, and they respect that freedom even when it complicates their work. They guide and advise, but rarely command, knowing that goodness chosen freely holds more value than righteousness imposed through divine authority. Below the solars in celestial hierarchy, though still tremendously powerful, stand the planeters. These angels appear more specialized than their solar superiors, each one focusing on specific aspects of goods work across the multiverse. A planeter stands approximately 8 feet tall, their bodies composed of light given solid form. Their skin glows with soft radiance, and their eyes shine like stars. 2 enormous wings of emerald green feathers spread from their shoulders, each feather inscribed with microscopic prayers in celestial script. Planeters serve as messengers, warriors, and investigators. They travel between planes, delivering communications from deities to their servants. They lead companies of archons against fiendish incursions. They investigate threats to cosmic order, gathering intelligence and reporting back to their superiors. Where solars handle strategic decisions affecting entire planes or campaigns lasting centuries, planeters operate at tactical levels, executing specific missions with clear objectives. The combat abilities of planeters make them terrifying opponents for evil creatures. They wield massive greatswords forged from celestial iron, blades that glow with emerald radiance and leave trails of light in the air as they swing. Their strikes carry divine wrath, channeling energy that particularly damages fiends and undead. Like solars, they command powerful magic, though planetars focus more on destructive and protective spells than the universal mastery displayed by supreme angels. They can heal grievous wounds with a touch, restore life to the recently dead, and banish fiends back to their home planes. Planetars maintain a more direct connection to mortal affairs than solars typically do. They frequently visit the material plane on missions from their divine patrons, appearing to champions of good in moments of great need. A besieged city might witness a planetar descending from the heavens to turn the tide of battle against an invading demon horde. A corrupted temple might see a planetar arriving to cleanse the profaned space and restore it to holy purpose. An adventurer on a quest of cosmic importance might encounter a planetar who provides crucial information or assistance at a pivotal moment. These angels also serve as teachers and mentors to mortal heroes. A young paladin struggling with difficult moral choices might receive guidance from a planetar assigned to watch over them. A cleric seeking to better understand their deities might be granted an audience with a planetar who explains divine philosophy in terms mortal minds can grasp. Unlike solars who often communicate through visions and symbols, planetars engage in direct conversation, answering questions and providing counsel with patience and clarity. Devas represent the most numerous category of true angels, and they subdivide into several distinct types based on their specific roles and domains. All devas share certain characteristics: humanoid forms of perfect proportion, radiant beauty that inspires devotion, and unwavering commitment to good. They typically stand between 6 and 7 feet tall, their bodies appearing as idealized versions of mortal forms. 2 white feathered wings emerge from their backs, though some deva variants display different wing colors corresponding to their specialized functions. Astral devas serve as messengers and scouts, traveling constantly between planes on missions for celestial powers. Their wings shimmer with prismatic colors, and they move with incredible speed, crossing vast distances in moments. These angels deliver important communications, gather intelligence about threats to good-aligned planes, and escort souls of worthy deceased mortals to their eternal rewards. Astral devas possess gentle, friendly personalities, enjoying interaction with mortals, and often forming bonds with particularly virtuous individuals they encounter during their travels. Monadic devas function as guardians of holy sites and protectors of important individuals. These angels maintain constant vigilance, never sleeping or resting, eternally alert for threats to their charges. Their dedication to duty borders on the absolute. A monadic deva assigned to guard a sacred artifact would defend it for millennia without complaint or boredom, finding fulfillment in the simple act of protection itself. They appear more martial than astral devas, their bodies showing clear musculature, and their bearing suggesting military discipline. Muvanic devas specialize in hunting fiends and opposing evil cults. These angels actively seek out corruption, tracking demons and devils across planes and into the darkest corners of the material plane. They infiltrate evil organizations, gathering evidence and identifying key targets for elimination. Where other devas might prefer negotiation and redemption, Muvanic devas understand that some evil proves too deeply rooted for salvation, requiring swift and decisive destruction. They carry weapons blessed specifically against fiendish enemies, and their magic focuses on detection, pursuit, and combat against creatures of darkness. All devas share the ability to assume mortal forms, disguising themselves as ordinary members of various ancestries. A deva might appear as a humble farmer, a traveling merchant, a tavern keeper, or any other commonplace role. In these disguises, they walk among mortals, observing their behavior, testing their virtue, and occasionally providing assistance to those who demonstrate goodness. Many legends tell of strangers who appeared in times of need, offered help or guidance, then vanished without trace. Some of these stories likely describe encounters with devas working in mortal guise. Devas interact with mortals more frequently and intimately than higher-ranking angels. They form friendships with mortal heroes, fight alongside paladins against evil, and sometimes develop romantic feelings for particularly noble individuals. Though such relationships remain complicated by the vast differences between celestial and mortal nature, a deva might serve as a companion and advisor to an adventuring party for months or years, revealing their true nature only when necessary, or when danger requires unleashing their full celestial power. Archons represent a distinct category of celestial beings, native specifically to Mount Celestia, and embodying lawful good principles even more strictly than angels. Where angels serve deities and can exist across all upper planes, Archons belong to the mountain itself, manifestations of its fundamental nature. The Archon hierarchy follows military structure, with clearly defined ranks and chains of command. At the top of Archon society stand the Tome Archons, beings of pure law and good who have transcended physical form almost entirely. They appear as enormous books floating in the air, their pages inscribed with every law, every moral code, every righteous decree ever written. Tome Archons serve as judges and lawmakers, establishing the principles that guide Mount Celestia's society. When questions of ethics or legality arise that require definitive answers, Archons of all ranks consult Tome Archons for wisdom and judgment. These beings rarely involve themselves in direct action, preferring to influence events through legislation and education. Throne Archons serve as generals and administrators, commanding armies and governing territories within Mount Celestia. They appear as humanoid figures carved from white marble, seated upon floating thrones of golden light. Symbols of divine authority hover around them. Scepters, crowns, swords, all manifesting and dissolving according to which aspect of their power they currently emphasize. Throne archons plan military campaigns against fiendish forces, coordinate defenses of celestial territories, and manage the complex logistics required to maintain Mount Celestia's orderly society. Sword archons make up the officer corps of celestial armies. These warriors stand 8 feet tall, their bodies encased in seamless plate armor that appears grown rather than forged. They wield massive two-handed swords that blaze with righteous fire, and they lead from the front during battles, inspiring troops through personal example of courage and skill. Sword archons train constantly, perfecting combat techniques through endless drill and practice. They view warfare as an art form, a dance where precise movements and perfect timing determine victory or defeat. Trumpet archons serve multiple roles as heralds, scouts, and battlefield commanders. They appear as beautiful humanoid figures in shining armor, each one bearing a golden trumpet from which they can produce notes of tremendous power. A trumpet archon's horn blast can bolster allies, terrify enemies, or shatter evil magic. These archons also deliver proclamations from higher authorities, their trumpets announcing important decrees across entire layers of Mount Celestia. In combat, they coordinate troop movements through musical signals, their horn calls conveying complex tactical instructions instantly to all friendly forces within hearing. Hound archons represent the rank-and-file soldiers of celestial armies, though calling them mere foot soldiers understates their capabilities. These archons possess both humanoid and canine features, walking upright, but displaying distinctly dog-like heads with keen noses and sharp teeth. They embody loyalty, courage, and devotion to duty. Hound archons patrol Mount Celestia in packs, their keen senses alerting them to any intrusions or disturbances. They also venture to other planes, on missions requiring reliable warriors who will follow orders precisely while adapting to unexpected circumstances. Lantern archons exist as the lowest rank in archon hierarchy, beings who have not yet progressed far enough along the path of lawful good to assume more powerful forms. They appear as floating globes of light roughly the size of a human head, glowing with warm radiance. Despite their simple appearance, Lantern archons serve crucial functions as scouts, messengers, and sources of illumination in dark places. They can merge together temporarily, combining their light into more intense brilliance, or coordinating their movements to create patterns and signals visible across vast distances. The transformation from Lantern archon to Hound archon to higher forms represents spiritual progression. As archons perform their duties faithfully and grow in understanding of lawful good principles. They ascend through ranks, gaining new powers and responsibilities. This system ensures that all archons in positions of authority have proven themselves through service, creating a meritocracy where advancement comes through demonstrated virtue rather than arbitrary selection. Archons interact with mortals primarily through military cooperation. When evil forces threaten mortal worlds, Archon companies might deploy to material plane to fight alongside local defenders. A city besieged by demons could find itself aided by a battalion of Hound Archons led by Sword Archon officers. A remote village plagued by undead might receive assistance from a patrol of Lantern Archons who drive back the darkness with their holy light. Archons understand mortal limitations and work to protect rather than replace mortal defenders, believing that people must learn to defend themselves rather than becoming dependent on celestial intervention. Beyond angels and archons, numerous other celestial creatures inhabit the upper planes and serve the cause of good. Quattles, serpentine beings with brilliant feathered wings, combine wisdom with fierce dedication to destroying evil. These creatures possess powerful magic and can assume humanoid forms to walk unnoticed among mortals. Many Quattles dedicate themselves to long-term missions lasting centuries, infiltrating evil cults or corrupt governments to undermine them from within. They are patient, deliberate creatures who recognize that some battles against evil require subtle approaches over extended timeframes. Holophants, despite their whimsical appearance as tiny golden elephants with silver wings, serve as valued advisors and guardians. Their small size and cute appearance often cause enemies to underestimate them, a mistake that proves fatal when these creatures reveal their mastery of divine magic and their surprisingly effective combat abilities. Holophants frequently bond with mortal heroes, serving as companions who provide guidance drawn from lifetimes of experience. Pegasi and unicorns, while not strictly celestial beings, maintain strong connections to upper planes and often serve as mounts or allies for celestial warriors. These creatures embody natural goodness, representing the purity that can exist even in material plane. A Pegasus carrying a deva into battle presents a striking image of celestial might, while a unicorn guiding lost travelers to safety demonstrates good's gentler aspects. Kirin, majestic creatures resembling scaled dragons with features of lions and deer, dwell primarily in celestial realms, but occasionally visit mortal worlds to combat tyranny and injustice. These beings combine physical might with powerful magic, and they possess wisdom that rivals that of ancient dragons. Based on their nature, Kirin likely serve as champions of freedom within the framework of good, understanding that law sometimes becomes oppression, and that maintaining goodness requires constant vigilance against corruption of even well-intentioned systems. All these celestial beings share certain qualities regardless of their specific type or rank. They experience emotions, but never let feelings override judgment or duty. They feel compassion without falling into enabling harmful behavior. They show mercy while maintaining justice. They forgive without forgetting lessons learned through experience. These creatures represent ideals that mortals strive toward, but rarely achieve, living embodiments of philosophical principles, given consciousness and agency. The relationship between celestial beings and mortals remains complex and multifaceted. On one hand, these creatures serve mortal interests, defending the innocent and punishing the wicked. On the other hand, they operate according to cosmic perspectives that sometimes conflict with mortal desires. A planeter might refuse to save a beloved king, whose death serves some greater purpose in the eternal struggle against evil. An archon might enforce rules that seem harsh or unfair from mortal viewpoint, but maintain necessary order from celestial perspective. Celestial beings also recognize limitations in their ability to intervene in mortal affairs. Free will represents a fundamental principle that even the mightiest angel must respect. Mortals must choose good freely for that choice to hold meaning. A world where celestials prevented all evil through direct intervention would produce beings incapable of moral growth. Creatures who obey good only because alternatives have been removed. Better to let mortals struggle, fail, learn, and eventually triumph through their own efforts, with celestial beings providing guidance and assistance only at crucial moments. This philosophy explains why celestial beings often appear cryptic or unhelpful when mortals desperately want clear answers. A deva who knows exactly how a hero should proceed might still speak only in riddles or metaphors, forcing the hero to think through problems independently. An archon aware of a coming disaster might warn of danger without specifying exact nature or timing, allowing mortals to prepare generally rather than simply following celestial instructions. This approach frustrates many mortals who wish celestial beings would simply solve problems directly, but it reflects deep understanding that growth comes through challenge and struggle. The power of celestial beings extends beyond their individual capabilities. Working together, coordinating their efforts according to grand strategies developed over eons, these creatures accomplish feats that reshape reality itself. They hold back tides of fiendish corruption that would otherwise overwhelm mortal worlds. They maintain barriers between planes that prevent demons and devils from invading material plane en masse. They inspire mortals to acts of heroism that tip balances in crucial conflicts. Without celestial intervention, evil would have triumphed long ago, dragging all existence into darkness. Yet celestial beings do not view their role as fighting a war they can win. The eternal conflict between good and evil has no final victory, no ultimate conclusion where one side defeats the other permanently. Rather, these beings understand they maintain balance, ensuring evil never gains sufficient advantage to destroy everything, while preventing good from becoming so dominant that free will lose its meaning. This acceptance of endless struggle might seem depressing from mortal perspective, but celestial beings find peace in purposeful work that continues forever. They fight not to end the war, but to protect those unable to defend themselves, and that purpose provides all the meaning they require. Section 3. Elysium, the blessed fields of pure compassion. The celestial beings we have explored serve causes and follow principles, their existence shaped by codes and hierarchies that define purpose through structure. Yet, goodness need not always march in formation or follow prescribed paths. Sometimes virtue expresses itself most purely when freed from both law and chaos. When compassion flows without asking whether it serves order or celebrates freedom, this middle way, this balance point where only kindness matters, manifests across 4 layers of reality known collectively as Elysium, the blessed fields. Elysium occupies a unique position in celestial geography. It borders Mount Celestia on one side and the more chaotic good realms on the other, serving as a bridge between these extremes. The plane attracts souls who lived good lives without strong tendencies toward law or chaos. People who helped others because helping felt right rather than because rules demanded it or because passion moved them. Heroes who saved villages not for glory or duty, but simply because villagers needed saving. Healers who tended the sick because suffering should be eased. Teachers who educated children because knowledge should be shared. These souls find their eternal reward in Elysium's gentle embrace. The river Oceanus flows through Elysium, connecting its layers and providing liquid pathway between different expressions of neutral good. This is not an ordinary river despite its mundane name. The Oceanus originates from Thalasia, the deepest layer of Elysium, where it springs from the infinite ocean that covers that realm. From there, it flows upward through the layers, a phenomenon that defies mortal understanding of how rivers should behave. Yet here, it follows the natural order of a plane shaped by goodness rather than physics. The river serves as both transportation route and symbolic connection, eventually continuing beyond Elysium to flow through the Beastlands and Arborea, linking multiple upper planes in its journey. Travelers who wish to journey between Elysium's layers most commonly follow the Oceanus. Small boats and larger vessels drift along its current, their passengers requiring no oars or sails. The river knows where you wish to go, and it carries you there gently, allowing you to enjoy the journey rather than merely enduring travel as obstacle between origin and destination. Ships ply the Oceanus in both directions, trading goods of all kinds between communities settled along its banks. Fish of silver and gold swim in these waters, creatures that exist as living embodiments of joy and contentment. These fish sometimes breach the surface, leaping into air in displays of pure exuberance before splashing back into welcoming water. The first layer of Elysium, Arborea, embodies what mortals imagine when they picture paradise. It closely resembles the material plane, except every way you look the plane dazzles with its peace and beauty. Gentle hills roll beneath skies of perfect blue, scattered with clouds that never bring storms. Rolling meadows and woodlands host an enormous variety of wildlife and birds. The temperature remains eternally comfortable, with mild seasons featuring gentle winters and comfortable summers. Grass grows in shades of green so vibrant they seem to glow with internal light. Flowers of every conceivable color dot these meadows, their blooms never fading, their petals never falling. Colors and sounds appear deeper and more intense, yet somehow also restful on the eyes and the mind. Communities in Arborea follow organic patterns, settled primarily along the banks of the river Oceanus. Houses cluster together where residents enjoy each other's company, spread apart where people prefer solitude. Architecture varies according to individual preference, with some petitioners choosing simple cottages while others build elaborate manors. Materials include wood that never rots, stone that never cracks, and occasionally substances that exist only in celestial realms. Translucent minerals that shift colors based on time of day or mood of inhabitants. The residents of Arborea pursue whatever activities bring them fulfillment. Former warriors might continue training, their sparring matches never resulting in serious injury, their competitions pushing skills to ever greater heights without the threat of death that shadowed their mortal careers. Artists create works of stunning beauty, painting landscapes that capture emotional truth rather than mere visual accuracy, sculpting figures that seem ready to step from their pedestals and walk among the living. Musicians compose new melodies or perform beloved classics, their instruments producing tones of crystalline purity. Even the wild animals are friendly here and will approach gentle travelers for a head scratch or petting. Deer graze peacefully alongside other creatures. Rabbits emerge from burrows without fear. Predators and prey coexist peacefully, the cycle of hunting and death suspended in this realm. A lion might rest beside a lamb, both creatures content in each other's presence, their mortal natures transformed by the plane's influence into something gentler while retaining their essential character. Food in Arborea appears whenever someone feels hungry, manifesting from air itself or growing on plants that bear fruit perpetually. These are not conjured illusions, but real sustenance. Though residents no longer require food for survival, eating becomes purely experiential, an opportunity to enjoy flavors and textures rather than biological necessity. Feasts happen spontaneously when groups of petitioners gather, tables appearing laden with dishes representing culinary traditions from countless mortal cultures. Sharing meals becomes communion, breaking bread together as affirmation of fellowship and mutual care. Social structures in Arborea lack formal organization. No government exists because no government is needed. Disputes resolve themselves through conversation and mutual understanding. When two residents disagree about something, they discuss the issue calmly until reaching compromise satisfactory to both parties. Crime does not occur because the very concept seems foreign here. Why would anyone steal when anything needed simply appears? Why would anyone harm another when doing so would cause oneself equal pain through empathy? Children play in Arborea's meadows and streams, their laughter ringing across the landscape. These are souls who died young in mortal life, given opportunity to experience childhood's joys in place, free from danger or sorrow. They run through fields chasing butterflies that sparkle with bioluminescence. They climb trees that adjust their branches to prevent falls. They splash in streams where the water remains shallow enough for safety, while providing endless opportunities for fun. Adults watch over these children not from duty, but from genuine affection, finding joy in their happiness. As you follow the Oceanus downstream into the deeper layers, the landscape begins to change. Hills grow taller, slopes steeper. The second layer, Eronia, announces itself through these transformations. Mountains rise in the distance, their peaks touching clouds that drift at heights, suggesting truly impressive elevation. Sweeping hills and plummeting ravines create dramatic geography filled with dangerous challenges. Though danger here remains relative compared to mortal worlds, the air here carries crispness absent from Arborea, a quality that sharpens senses and invigorates spirit. Eronia appeals to those who find fulfillment in striving and achieving. The mountains provide endless opportunities for exploration and conquest. Climbers ascend peaks that would take mortal lifetimes to summit, finding new vistas at every height. Caves honeycomb the mountains, their interiors filled with crystal formations that glow with their own light. Underground rivers flow through these caverns, creating echoing music as water rushes over stone. Some caves open into vast chambers where entire communities of petitioners have established settlements, building cities within mountains rather than upon them. Waterfalls characterize Eronia's landscape, cascading down cliffsides in ribbons of white foam. The largest of these falls plunge for thousands of feet, their roar audible from miles away, their mist creating permanent rainbows that arch across valleys. Smaller falls create series of pools connected by streams, each pool perfect for swimming or simply floating while gazing at sky framed by mountain peaks. The water remains always refreshing, cold enough to invigorate without causing discomfort, pure enough to see the bottom regardless of depth. Forests grow on Eronia's lower slopes, trees of tremendous size reaching towards sunlight. These are not the decorative gardens of Arborea. but true wilderness. The wilderness tamed just enough to remain safe while retaining wild character. Elk and bears roam these woods, their movements creating paths through undergrowth. Birds build nests in high branches, their songs creating dawn chorus that welcomes each new day. Some trees grow so large that their trunks contain hollow spaces where travelers can shelter, natural rooms complete with floors smooth enough for comfortable sleeping. The residents of Arborea tend toward more active lifestyles than their counterparts in Arborea. They organize expeditions to explore unmapped regions. They compete in games and contests that test strength, speed, and skill. They build monuments and structures that showcase engineering prowess. Yet, all this activity serves joy rather than ambition. No one keeps score or maintains rankings. Competitions exist purely for the pleasure of competing, for the satisfaction of pushing oneself to new achievements without concern for defeating others. Following the Oceanus further into Elysium brings you to Belirin, the third layer. This realm presents a stark contrast to the layers above. Belirin is a swamp covered in thick fogs, though all traces of bothersome insects and pestilence have been removed, leaving only the mystical atmosphere without the unpleasant aspects. The fog creates an environment where visibility remains limited, and travelers find themselves surrounded by mist that shifts and swirls with mysterious purpose. Belirin is said to be a sealed layer, and accounts suggest that the Cardinals who watch over this realm are either trying to keep people out or something in. There is not a lot of travel on the layer, and it remains one of the least understood regions of Elysium. The Cardinals call this plane the bliss of hope, suggesting it serves some greater purpose in maintaining peace through secrecy, and represents the concept of sacrifice for the greater good. This could imply that Belirin functions as a buffer or testing ground, a place where certain truths are kept hidden for the benefit of all. The swamp environment, despite its foreboding appearance, retains Elysium's essential goodness. The waters here do not breed disease or harbor dangerous creatures. The fog, while obscuring, never leads travelers into true peril. Instead, this layer seems designed for contemplation and introspection, a place where souls can retreat from the more social atmospheres of Arborea and Arborea to explore their inner landscapes. The mist itself might serve as metaphor for the mysteries that even goodness contains, the questions that cannot be easily answered even in paradise. The deepest layer of Elysium, Thalasia, consists entirely of a warm ocean extending infinitely in all directions. This sea is sometimes called the Thalasian Sea, and it serves as both the source of the river Oceanus and, in a cyclical sense, its final destination. The layer is dotted with island archipelagos known collectively by various names. The Isles of the Holy Dead, the Isles of the Blessed, the islands beyond the world, and the Heroic Isles. This is the afterlife for warriors and heroes who gave their lives in the service of pure good. Those who sacrificed everything for righteousness, without concern for law or chaos. Islands rise from the water, each one a paradise of white sand beaches and swaying palm trees, their shores lapped by gentle waves that produce soothing rhythms. Cold and choppy waves mix with tropical islands and warm waters, creating diverse maritime environments across the infinite expanse. Small communities populate not only the islands, but also beneath the waves, where the true majesty of Thalasia reveals itself. While many petitioners dwell on the surface islands, most of the action on Thalasia occurs underwater. Beautiful settlements of coral and mother of pearl can be found beneath the waves, bathed in crystal clear waters of perfect temperature. Sea elves, dolphins, selkies, whales, and more swim through the ocean currents, always keeping watch for those who might be in trouble from a sinking ship or are lost in these sapphire blue ocean waves. These aquatic communities form their own restful societies, building elaborate structures from living coral and gathering in underwater grottos for celebrations and fellowship. The water of Thalasia possesses unique properties that make it unlike any other liquid in the multiverse. When you wade into these shallows or dive beneath the surface, you feel the presence of countless other souls, their consciousness dissolved into the sea itself. Based on the descriptions of Thalasia as a place of profound peace and communion, the water could be not just habitat for life, but actually contain life essence, awareness made liquid. Swimming through Thalasia might mean temporarily merging with these other souls, experiencing their memories and emotions as if they were your own, while they simultaneously experience yours. This merging, if it occurs, would not result in loss of self. You would remain distinct, individual, your identity intact. Yet simultaneously, you might expand, consciousness growing to encompass other perspectives. You would remember childhoods you never lived. You would feel love for people you never met. You would experience deaths you did not die. All of this would flow through you like current in the sea, touching you without sweeping you away. The sensation could overwhelm at first, but residents of Thalasia would quickly adapt, learning to navigate this ocean of potential shared consciousness with ease. Islands in Thalasia serve as places for gathering and community. When souls need solid ground beneath their feet, they swim to shore and rest on beaches, where the gentle rhythm of waves provides constant, soothing music. Here they build simple dwellings, form communities of fellow heroes who share similar experiences, and celebrate their eternal reward with feasts and songs. Some souls spend most of their time on these islands, while others remain in the water almost constantly, drawn to the ocean's embrace and the freedom it represents. The sky above Thalasia displays perpetual sunset conditions, though this could vary across different regions of the infinite layer. Oranges and pinks paint clouds in patterns that slowly shift, but create an atmosphere of peaceful transition, neither fully day nor fully night. This eternal twilight or golden hour lighting bathes everything in warm, flattering illumination that enhances the beauty of the islands and turns the ocean's surface into a shimmering expanse of reflected color. The philosophy of Elysium emphasizes compassion above all other virtues. Law and chaos both represent attempts to structure morality, to create systems that guide behavior through rules or through individual expression. Elysium rejects both extremes, understanding that true goodness comes from the heart, from caring about others without need for external framework. A resident of Mount Celestia follows codes and hierarchies, their goodness channeled through discipline. A resident of Arborea expresses goodness through passionate freedom. A resident of Elysium simply cares, helping others because suffering should be eased and joy should be shared. This middle path appeals to many mortal souls. Most people live lives that do not perfectly align with either law or chaos. They follow some rules while breaking others. They plan carefully in some situations while acting spontaneously in others. They respect authority sometimes and question it other times. This moral flexibility does not represent weakness or inconsistency, but rather pragmatic understanding that different situations require different approaches. Elysium rewards this flexibility, providing eternal home for those who chose good regardless of whether that choice aligned with law or chaos. Traveling through Elysium follows unique rules that reflect the plane's philosophy. It does not matter if your path is strictly straight and orderly, or if it is all roundabout and unpredictable. As long as you perform good deeds along the way, you arrive at your destination, none the worse for the journey. During travel on Elysium, opportunities to perform good deeds arise naturally, and those who respond with kindness find their paths smooth and swift, while those who ignore such chances discover their journeys becoming more difficult and confusing. The plane itself possesses strong alignment properties that affect those who enter. Elysium is very unfriendly to undead, with any undead creature entering the plane suffering tremendous damage per round from the positive energy inherent to this realm. The creature's skin starts smoking and burning. Those with throats sound like they are choking and coughing. And soon, the undead creature bursts into flames, immolated by the power of pure goodness. This property ensures that Elysium remains a place of life and healing, where death itself cannot maintain its grip. Harmful necromantic magic automatically fails when cast on Elysium, with a significant chance of backlash affecting the caster. This backlash represents an aspect of the pure goodness of the plane, such that when someone tries to invoke the powers of darkness, the plane's goodness reacts just as the inhabitants would react to a fiendish intruder. This protective quality makes Elysium a safe haven for those fleeing from dark magic, and ensures that the peace here remains undisturbed by forces of death and decay. The petitioners of Elysium do not strive toward some higher state as souls do in Mount Celestia. They have reached their destination, found their place of rest and peace. Petitioners generally appear as they did in life, losing memories of their past and all class levels, but retaining their essential personality and character. They grow more and more in tune with the alignment of their plane over time, eventually being absorbed into it in some metaphysical sense, becoming part of Elysium's essence. Some might eventually choose to move to other planes if their nature shifts toward more lawful or chaotic good. But many remain in Elysium contentedly for all eternity, finding infinite fulfillment in the simple act of existing in place where compassion flows like water and kindness shapes the very landscape. Section 4. Arborea, the Olympian glades of freedom and passion, where Elysium's compassion flows steady and reliable as the Oceanus itself. Another celestial realm embraces the storms of emotion, the wild joy of uninhibited expression, the fierce beauty of freedom unbound. Arborea exists as a celebration, an eternal festival where passion and goodness intertwine so completely that separating them becomes impossible. This is the realm of chaotic good, where benevolence requires no structure, where righteousness dances rather than marches, where virtue sings improvised songs rather than reciting prescribed hymns. The plane bears multiple names across different cultures and pantheons. The Olympian glades of Arborea serves as its formal title, though many simply call it Olympus after the famous mountain, where Greek deities hold court. Elves know the first layer as Arvandor or Arvanaeth, emphasizing the deep connection between elven culture and this plane's essential nature. Some refer to it as Arvanaeth when speaking of its role as the elven afterlife. Regardless of which title you use, Arborea represents the same fundamental truth. Goodness need not be solemn or restrained. Virtue can laugh, dance, love, and celebrate without diminishing its power or purity. 3 layers comprise Arborea, each one presenting dramatically different geography and character. The uppermost layer, Arvandor, embodies wild beauty and untamed nature. The second layer, Aqualar, transforms the plane into an oceanic realm. The third layer, Mithardir, presents a dying desert that few visit. Activity and population concentrate heavily on the first layer, where the great divine realms hold sway. Arvandor, the top layer, is filled with massive forests, mountainous hills, and towering mountains, its land home to wild forests and dire beasts. The trees themselves possess impossible beauty, their trunks spiraling upward in graceful curves, their bark displaying colors that shift between silver and gold depending on angle of sunlight. These are not ordinary woodlands. The forests here grow wild and untamed, though the danger they present remains relative compared to mortal wilderness. Everything pulses with vibrant life and passionate energy. The most remarkable feature of Arvandor is that it contains 2 separate divine realms, both of which claim to be the highest point on the layer. Mount Olympus, home of the Greek pantheon, and Arvandor proper, domain of the elven gods. Due to the odd properties of the plane, both realms hold the position of highest point in that layer, and neither is visible from the other. The two realms are separated by hundreds of miles of untamed wilderness. Mount Olympus rises as the tallest mountain of the plain, soaring high into the sky. Some accounts suggest that Mount Olympus stretches far down through the plains, its roots extending into Hades, the gray wastes. The mountain's slopes present endless challenges for those who would climb them. Horrific creatures from Greek myth like gorgons, harpies, lamia, minotaurs, and medusae roam the slopes and depths looking for prey. Mountain and hill giants, Galeb-Duer, and Barrior herds can also be spotted regularly, as well as the Oreads, mountain spirits who guard Olympus from unnatural influences. The theme of Mount Olympus is one of struggle to overcome the trials and tasks life hands to a person. Greek legends often tell of impossible tasks, and the mountain embodies this principle. Climbing toward the summit requires not just physical prowess, but courage, cleverness, and determination. Heroes who reach the heights find themselves in the presence of the Olympian gods themselves, deities of tremendous power and equally tremendous passion. The Bestiary, a cavernous city carved into the side of Mount Olympus by Gaia herself, provides a fascinating counterpoint to the mountain's dangers. Gaia appealed to the Olympians, showing that not all of her monstrous progeny were evil or dangerous, and was granted the cavern as a place in which her outcast children could assemble and become civilized. Most Olympians view the bestiary as a convenient holding area for dangerous monsters, and most mortals on the mount consider it a frightening hellhole, which keeps both parties from bothering the bestiary's citizens. This suits the city just fine, allowing its inhabitants to live in peace despite their fearsome appearances. The settled regions around Olympus display the bounty that chaotic good can produce when combined with divine favor. The fields of Olympus are covered not by open grassy meadows, but by vast arbors of grapes and olives, waving fields of wild grain and corn, and pastures filled with hundreds of cattle, sheep, and goats. The woods consist of untended orchards of fruit and nut trees of all types, dense thickets of berry bushes, and flowering plants. Everything grows with supernatural abundance, requiring minimal cultivation, yet producing harvests that would make mortal farmers weep with envy. On the other side of Arvandor lies the Elven Domain, also called Arvandor or Arvanaith. This realm serves as home to the Elven pantheon led by Corellin Larethian, the creator and preserver of the Elven race. Corellin governs those things held in the highest esteem among elves: magic, music, arts, crafts, poetry, and warfare. The realm is a place of deep forests and fey beauty, though elven concepts of tame differ dramatically from what city dwellers might consider safe. Arvandor is said to have been taken from the gods of the giants after a lengthy war. Ruins of giant citadels still dot the land there, enormous structures slowly being reclaimed by the forests. The elven gods are thought to have invaded from the plain of Usgard, hungry for a realm of their own. This martial history explains why even paradise contains reminders of conflict, why beauty here comes tinged with wildness and danger. The elven communities in Arvandor build their homes in harmony with the forests rather than imposing structures upon nature. Tree houses rise in the canopy, constructed from living wood that grows according to elven desire. Walkways spiral around trunks, balconies extend from major branches, and entire neighborhoods exist in spaces that seem impossibly precarious, yet feel perfectly secure. The architecture flows organically, as if the forest decided to provide shelter rather than elves forcing their will upon the trees. The elven pantheon maintains various divine realms within Arvandor, each deity shaping territory to reflect their particular domain and personality. Corellin Larethian rules from a palace that embodies elven ideals of beauty and grace. The structure constantly evolves, its design changing to reflect Corellin's artistic inspirations and the needs of those who visit seeking divine guidance. Other elven deities maintain their own domains nearby, creating a network of divine realms connected by forest paths and magical portals. The residents of Arvandor spend their eternity engaged in pursuits that bring them joy. Many dedicate themselves to artistic endeavors. Painters capture the forest's beauty on canvas, though their works always fall short of reality, driving them to try again, with each attempt bringing new insights and techniques. Sculptors carve wood into forms that somehow retain the life of the tree. Statues that seem ready to step from pedestals and walk among the living. Poets compose verses in Elvish and countless other languages, their words attempting to express ineffable beauty they witness daily. Music fills Arvandor constantly. Elven bards play instruments of wood and silver, their melodies weaving through the forest like additional breeze. Songs sometimes continue for days, evolving and transforming as new musicians join, while others depart, collaborative compositions that belong to no single creator, but rather to community as a whole. Dancing accompanies much of this music, elven souls spinning and leaping with inhuman grace, their movements expressing emotions too complex for words. Festivals erupt spontaneously whenever enough spirits gather with sufficient enthusiasm. Someone begins playing music, others join with their instruments. Dancers emerge from the forest, and suddenly a celebration consumes an entire region. These festivals can last for what mortals would measure as decades. Participants sustained by divine energy and their own joy, needing neither food nor sleep as long as revelry continues. Eventually, the festival winds down naturally, participants drifting away when their desire for quieter pursuits overcomes their appetite for celebration. The second layer of Arborea, Aqualar, transforms the plain from forested paradise into oceanic realm. Also known as Asa in some sources, this layer consists of a vast ocean that extends infinitely in all directions. Unlike the deep seas of the material plane or the endless waters of the elemental plane of water, most of the ocean here is only 3 feet deep. This shallow sea allows travelers to wade for miles, the water never rising above their waists, creating a surreal experience of walking through an ocean that stretches to every horizon. Many deep chasms are spread throughout the layer, places where the ocean floor drops away into darkness. These chasms provide homes for the gods of water and their servants, underwater realms of tremendous depth and pressure, where surface dwellers cannot easily venture. The contrast between the shallow seas and these abyssal trenches creates dramatic geography, and navigating Aqualar requires care to avoid accidentally stepping off an underwater cliff. Islands dot this sea, rising from the shallows to provide land for those who prefer solid ground. Some islands rise as volcanic peaks with black sand beaches. Others consist of white coral formations that barely break the surface. A few feature genuine mountains reaching thousands of feet into the sky, their slopes covered in jungles or meadows, depending on elevation. Each island possesses unique character and geography, and exploring them could occupy eternity. The sea itself displays the same impossible blue found in the deepest parts of mortal oceans, but somehow more vibrant, more alive. Waves rise and fall in patterns that seem musical, their rhythm matching the heartbeat of the plane itself. Storms roll across Aqualar with frequency, massive tempests that would terrify mortal sailors, but here invigorate rather than threaten. Lightning illuminates clouds from within. Thunder rumbles with notes that resonate in the chest. Wind whips water into frenzy that expresses the plane's passionate nature. Riding out these storms aboard ships becomes thrilling experience rather than dangerous ordeal. Sailors laughing as waves crash over decks, reveling in the power and fury of chaotic good made manifest in weather. Sea elves populate Aqualar in great numbers, their communities built both above and below the waterline. In the deeper chasms, they construct elaborate cities from coral and shell, their architecture flowing and organic. Bioluminescent creatures provide illumination in depths where sunlight cannot penetrate. Schools of fish circle through city streets, their movements creating living art installations that shift and change constantly. Sea elves swim through their cities with grace that would make mortal swimmers weep with envy, moving through three-dimensional space with ease. Islands in Aqualar serve as gathering places for surface dwellers and locations where sea elves can interact with visitors from other planes who lack ability to breathe underwater. Communities on these islands build with materials salvaged from shipwrecks, not because new materials are unavailable, but because timber and metal touched by tragedy and transformed by ocean carries romantic associations that appeal to Arborean sensibilities. A beam from a ship that sank heroically in battle against pirates possesses different quality than freshly cut wood, history, and emotion imbuing it with character that new materials lack. The third and deepest layer, Mythardir, presents a stark contrast to the vibrant life of the layers above. Also known as Pelion, this layer consists of an endless desert of fine, chalk-like white dust that stretches in all directions. Oceans of sand stretch between ancient ruins of past civilizations and cities, making traveling very dangerous and largely pointless for most merchants. This layer is considered dying, and some believe it will eventually disappear from the multiverse once the last of its petitioners merge into the layer. Mythardir remains mostly uninhabited. The few beings who dwell here tend to be hermits, ascetics, or those seeking isolation from the social atmospheres of the upper layers. The desert provides endless space for contemplation, though survival here requires either divine sustenance or exceptional resourcefulness. Water does not exist naturally on this layer, and the fine dust makes breathing difficult for those unaccustomed to the environment. The ruins scattered across Mythardir tell stories of civilizations that once flourished here. Crumbling temples suggest that gods once held court in this desert. Shattered palaces indicate that petitioners built great cities before abandoning them. What caused this layer to decline remains subject to speculation. Some suggest that the chaotic good nature of Arborea means that layers can be born and die according to the passions of the plane itself. Mythardir representing a realm whose time has passed. For most people, there just is not anything in Mythardir worth dying of thirst and starvation for. The layer holds archaeological interest and provides solitude for those who seek it. But the vibrant life and passionate celebration that characterize Arborea find better expression in Arvindor and Aqualar. Mythardir stands as a reminder that even in paradise, not all places suit all souls, and that chaotic good allows for diversity of environment, even when some of those environments prove inhospitable. The divine realms scattered throughout Arborea extend beyond just the Elven and Greek pantheons. Other deities of chaotic good alignment maintain domains within the plane, particularly on Arvindor, where the landscape provides space for countless divine territories. These realms overlap and interconnect, creating complex geography where walking through one god's territory might suddenly deposit you in another's domain without crossing any visible boundary. The philosophy underlying Arborea emphasizes authentic expression over conformity. Goodness here does not follow prescribed patterns or adhere to external standards. Each soul finds their own path to virtue, expressing benevolence in ways that feel natural to their personality. A shy, introverted person serves good through quiet acts of kindness and creation of beautiful art. An extroverted socialite spreads joy through enthusiasm and ability to bring people together. A passionate warrior defends the innocent with fierce determination. All approaches receive equal validation because what matters is the goodness itself, not the form that goodness takes. Freedom represents a core value in Arborea, but freedom tempered by compassion and concern for others. This is not the selfish liberty of evil beings who do whatever they please regardless of consequences. Rather, Arborean freedom recognizes that your ability to act as you choose must coexist with others' equal freedom. When individual liberties conflict, residents negotiate and compromise, finding solutions that honor everyone's autonomy rather than imposing one person's will on others through force or authority. The chaos of Arborea manifests not as disorder or confusion, but as spontaneity and adaptability. Plans exist in broad strokes rather than detailed specifics, allowing flexibility to seize unexpected opportunities or adjust to changing circumstances. Residents embrace uncertainty, finding excitement in not knowing exactly what tomorrow might bring. This attitude produces resilience, as souls accustomed to improvising and adapting handle challenges more gracefully than those dependent on rigid structures and predictable routines. Section 5. The Eternal Purpose Philosophy, Transformation, and the Cosmic Balance. The celestial realms we have explored represent more than mere destinations for virtuous souls. Mount Celestia with its ordered ascension, Elysium with its compassionate embrace, Arborea with its passionate celebration. Each plane serves purposes extending far beyond providing paradise for the deserving dead. These realms function as anchors in the cosmic balance, bastions of goodness that prevent the multiverse from sliding into corruption and darkness. Understanding why these planes exist and what they accomplish requires examining the fundamental nature of reality itself, the eternal struggle between moral forces, and the role that individual souls play in conflicts spanning millennia. Goodness, as manifested across the upper planes, exists as more than abstract philosophical concept. In these celestial dimensions, virtue possesses tangible substance. The upper planes are positioned above in the cosmic geography, and life energy, magic, and positive energy flow down through the planes from them to the prime material plane. This creates a literal cascade of goodness that strengthens virtue throughout the multiverse. Every act of kindness performed on the material plane sends ripples through planar boundaries, adding infinitesimal amount to the substance of the upper planes. Conversely, the existence of celestial realms radiates influence outward, making it easier for mortals to choose virtue over vice. The three primary expressions of good, lawful, neutral, and chaotic, represent different approaches to the same ultimate goal: reducing suffering and increasing well-being across all existence. Mount Celestia's lawful good philosophy argues that order and structure provide the most effective framework for achieving this goal. Rules establish expectations. Hierarchies clarify responsibilities. Discipline ensures consistent application of principles. When everyone knows their role and performs their duties faithfully, society functions smoothly, minimizing conflict and maximizing prosperity. This approach works beautifully in contexts where cooperation and coordination prove essential, where individual freedom must be temporarily sacrificed for collective benefit. Elysium's neutral good stance takes more pragmatic position, arguing that different situations require different approaches. Sometimes law serves good, sometimes chaos serves good, sometimes elements of both prove necessary. What matters is the outcome, the actual reduction of suffering and promotion of happiness, not the philosophical framework used to achieve those results. This flexibility allows neutral good beings to work with both lawful and chaotic allies, serving as mediators and bridge builders between extremes. When Mount Celestia and Arborea find themselves at odds over how to handle some cosmic threat, Elysium often provides the compromise that allows both sides to cooperate despite philosophical differences. Arborea's chaotic good perspective emphasizes that true goodness must be freely chosen, that imposing virtue through law and regulation creates hollow righteousness at best and oppressive tyranny at worst. Freedom allows individuals to discover their own paths to goodness, expressing benevolence in authentic ways that reflect their unique nature. This approach celebrates diversity, recognizing that infinite variations of virtue exist, and that prescribing single correct way to be good stifles the creativity and passion that make moral acts genuinely meaningful. When structure becomes oppression, when law serves to maintain power rather than promote welfare, chaotic good provides the revolutionary energy necessary to tear down corrupt systems and build something better. These three philosophies exist in constant tension, each one containing truth while also possessing blind spots that the others illuminate. Lawful good can become inflexible, prioritizing order over actual well-being, enforcing rules even when those rules cause harm. Chaotic good can devolve into self-indulgent hedonism, confusing personal pleasure with universal benefit. Neutral good can paralyze itself with endless deliberation about which approach best serves the situation, losing opportunities for action while trying to determine perfect strategy. The upper planes demonstrate how these different expressions of goodness can coexist, each one valid in its own right, all working toward shared ultimate purpose despite disagreements about methodology. The journey of souls through afterlife reflects this philosophical diversity. When a mortal dies, their soul separates from physical body and travels to the outer plane most closely aligned with their moral and ethical nature. A lawful good paladin who served their deity faithfully likely arrives in Mount Celestia, appearing on Lunia's silver shores, ready to begin their ascent toward greater righteousness. A chaotic good bard who spread joy through music and fought against tyranny, probably finds themselves in Arvandor, welcomed by elven spirits who appreciate their artistic nature and rebellious spirit. A neutral good healer who simply wanted to help people without political or philosophical agenda might wake in Arborea, discovering Elysium's gentle paradise exactly matches their vision of eternal reward. These initial placements are not permanent assignments. Souls can move between the upper planes if their nature shifts, or if they discover that their original destination does not actually suit them as well as they thought it would. The upper planes do slowly shift one's alignment toward that of the plane in question, though the good gods have put in effort to make sure the good planes respect who you truly are and your free will. Even this alignment shift is not perfect, and the effects described for places like Elysium, Arborea, and Bitopia are temporary behavioral warps rather than permanent personality changes. No good god is interested in forcefully converting you into a celestial servant. Within individual planes, souls undergo transformation as they adapt to their surroundings and progress along paths toward greater enlightenment. In Mount Celestia, this progression manifests as literal ascent through the 7 layers. A soul that arrives on Lunia might spend centuries there, learning the basics of lawful good philosophy and working to purge themselves of lingering moral flaws carried over from mortal life. Eventually, they feel ready to attempt the climb to Mercuria, where deeper understanding awaits. Virtuous deeds allow petitioners to slowly climb until they reach the summit from which no one returns. Each layer represents threshold that tests the soul's development, ensuring only those truly ready advance to higher realms. The transformation that occurs through this ascent changes souls in fundamental ways. Petitioners are not static, and over time, they can change into new forms. If successful, they could become nascent creatures, anchoring themselves to that plane or deity. The most common transformations for good-aligned petitioners include becoming cardinals for neutral good, angels or archons for lawful good and neutral good, and eladrins for chaotic good and neutral good. This process appears similar to spiritual evolution, where the afterlife location and guidance from entities there help the soul transform into a celestial being. Some petitioners merge with the planes or deities themselves, though this can only be done by a soul in harmony and with high affinity with that god or plane. Some fade from creation, leaving behind only spiritual energy. By the time a soul reaches the highest layers of Mount Celestia, or achieves similar advancement on other upper planes, they have become something barely recognizable as the person who lived and died on the material plane. Their mortal self, just seed from which celestial being has grown. In Elysium, transformation follows gentler path. Souls do not climb toward perfection, but rather settle into whatever level of spiritual development feels comfortable and fulfilling. Some remain in Arborea indefinitely, finding complete satisfaction in simple paradise. Others feel drawn to deeper layers, seeking the oceanic peace of Thalasia or the mysterious contemplation of Beleriand's fog-shrouded swamps. Movement between layers happens organically, driven by internal growth rather than external testing. This approach reflects Elysium's belief that goodness should not be forced or rushed, that each soul develops at their own pace toward their own ideal state. Arborea's transformation emphasizes authentic self-expression over systematic development. Souls here do not progress through ranks or levels, but rather discover and refine their truest selves. A petitioner might spend centuries exploring different artistic mediums before finding the one that perfectly captures their inner vision. Another might experiment with various forms of relationships before discovering which style of romance brings them greatest fulfillment. The goal is not to become something other than what you are, but rather to become more completely and perfectly yourself, stripping away false personas and social conditioning to reveal authentic core beneath. The celestial beings we explored earlier, the angels and archons, and other servants of good, originate through multiple paths. Some begin as mortal souls who progressed so far along paths of righteousness that they transformed into celestial creatures, their spiritual evolution culminating in complete metamorphosis. A petitioner who climbed all 7 layers of Mount Celestia might emerge from Cronias as a newly formed archon, their mortal memories preserved, but their nature fundamentally altered. Similarly, a soul that achieved sufficient harmony with Elysium might crystallize into a cardinal or deva, taking on angelic form to serve the cause of good across the planes. Other celestial beings are created directly by deities or by the planes themselves, born already possessing their angelic or archonic nature. These beings never lived as mortals, never died, and journeyed to afterlife as souls. They came into existence fully formed, shaped by divine will or planar energy into servants of good. These created celestials often lack certain perspectives that transformed mortals possess, having never experienced the struggles and temptations of material existence. However, they also avoid the baggage and trauma that mortal life inflicts, approaching their duties with purity untainted by personal history. The relationship between celestial beings and the planes they inhabit creates symbiotic system. The planes provide power and purpose to their inhabitants, while those inhabitants strengthen the planes through their presence and actions. A solar fighting demons on the material plane does not merely defend mortal worlds. They also strengthen the upper planes by preventing evil from gaining power that would tip cosmic balance away from good. Every demon destroyed is one less force working to corrupt reality. Every mortal inspired to virtuous action is one more soul who will eventually add their essence to celestial realms after death. This brings us to the eternal conflict, the blood war and other ongoing struggles between forces of good and evil that have raged since the multiverse's beginning and will continue until its ending, if such an ending ever comes. The Blood War specifically refers to the ancient conflict that rages between the fiends of the lower planes, primarily between demons and devils. Their constant warring placed the lower planes in a twisted form of equilibrium, a balance that, according to some, had to be maintained at all costs. If one side were to achieve decisive victory, the implications for the rest of the multiverse would be catastrophic. The lawful good-aligned celestial archons and chaotic good-aligned eladrins only marginally participated in the Blood War, mostly ensuring that the battle remained confined to the lower planes. The demons and devils, in keeping with their sadistic and violent natures, simply would not cease their fight, even after the rest of the multiverse had grown more tolerant. The Blood War is the centerpiece conflict of the cosmos, the most important one, and the one that, if it fell out of balance, would spell doom. The agents of the upper planes often believed in the existence of a cosmic balance, but strove to tilt it in the favor of good. This creates philosophical tension, as maintaining balance suggests that good and evil must exist in relatively equal proportions. Yet the entire purpose of celestial beings involves spreading goodness and diminishing evil. The resolution to this apparent contradiction lies in understanding that the balance is not about equal amounts of good and evil, but rather about preventing either side from gaining such overwhelming advantage that free will becomes meaningless. The celestial realms prevent this catastrophic outcome through constant vigilance and intervention. Angels descend to the material plane to oppose fiendish plots. Archons work to ensure the Blood War remains confined to the lower planes, rather than spilling over into other realms. Cardinals and other celestial beings work to inspire mortals toward virtue, countering evil's seductive whispers with examples of what goodness can achieve. This work never ends. No final battle will determine victory once and for all. The conflict is eternal by its very nature, built into the fundamental structure of a multiverse that contains both good and evil as core elements. Understanding this eternal nature prevents despair while also preventing complacency. Despair would come from believing the fight is hopeless, that evil will inevitably triumph because the war never ends. But the war's continuation proves that good remains strong enough to hold the line, to prevent evil from achieving its dark goals. Complacency would arise from believing good has already won, that evil poses no real threat, but the constant warfare demonstrates that vigilance remains necessary, that letting guard down even briefly could allow evil to gain advantage that takes centuries to reverse. The celestial realms affect the material plane through both direct and indirect mechanisms. Directly, celestial beings intervene during crises, appearing to aid heroes or deliver divine warnings. these interventions remain relatively rare, limited by various cosmic laws and agreements that prevent both good and evil from overwhelming mortal free will through constant interference. The gods of good cannot simply dispatch armies of angels to solve every problem mortals face, partly because such action would violate treaties with evil deities who would respond with their own interventions, and partly because doing so would reduce mortals to pawns rather than independent beings capable of moral choice. Indirectly, the upper planes influence material plane by making goodness easier and more natural. Their position above in the cosmic geography means that positive energy flows down from them to mortal worlds, pointing mortals towards situations where they are likely to be heroic and do good things will turn them good with enough time and effort. A person standing at moral crossroads, trying to decide whether to help someone in need or walk away, receives subtle support from celestial realms. They do not hear voices or see visions commanding them to act righteously. Rather, the impulse toward kindness feels slightly stronger. The rationalizations for selfishness seem slightly less convincing, and choosing good becomes marginally easier than it would be if upper planes did not exist. These tiny influences add up across billions of moral choices made every day on countless worlds, tipping the balance just enough to prevent evil from overwhelming everything. The question of ultimate purpose arises when contemplating celestial realms. If the war between good and evil never ends, if souls cycle through the planes eternally, if even the gods must struggle constantly to maintain their influence, what is the point? Why continue fighting when victory remains forever out of reach? The answer lies in understanding that the struggle itself constitutes the purpose. A multiverse without conflict between good and evil would be a static, dead thing, incapable of growth or change. The tension between moral forces creates space for free will, for meaningful choice, for the drama that makes existence worthwhile, rather than merely eternal existence without significance. Every soul that chooses good despite temptations toward evil validates this system. Every hero who sacrifices themselves to save others demonstrates that morality means something real, that goodness possesses value transcending personal survival. Every celestial being who continues fighting despite knowing the war will never truly end shows that some things are worth doing regardless of whether they produce final victory. The purpose is not to win, but to maintain, to ensure that goodness remains a viable option, that hope survives to inspire future generations. That light continues to push back against darkness, even knowing darkness will never be completely eliminated. You, whether reading these words in mortal life or listening to them in some form beyond death, participate in this cosmic drama. Your choices matter. Your actions send ripples through reality that strengthen either good or evil, law or chaos. When you help someone who cannot repay you, you add infinitesimal amount to the substance of the upper planes. When you stand up against tyranny despite risks, you honor the principles that Arborea celebrates. When you follow your conscience, even when law demands otherwise, you embody the discernment that Elysium respects. When you maintain discipline in service of righteous cause, you reflect Mount Celestia's virtues. The celestial realms await those who choose goodness consistently enough that their soul's alignment shifts permanently toward virtue. These paradises are not exclusive clubs reserved for the perfect, flawed people who genuinely tried to do right, who stumbled and failed, but picked themselves up and tried again, who learned from mistakes and grew into better versions of themselves. These souls find welcome in celestial realms just as readily as legendary heroes who never wavered. What matters is the direction of your moral trajectory, not whether you maintained perfect righteousness at every moment. And for those who walk darker paths, who choose selfishness over compassion, who inflict suffering for personal gain, who corrupt and destroy rather than build and heal, different destinations await. The lower planes mirror the upper planes in structure, but invert in character, offering eternal punishments rather than eternal rewards. Yet, even these dark realms serve purposes in the cosmic balance, and redemption remains theoretically possible even for souls who descend to hell. The multiverse offers second chances, opportunities to change, paths back toward light for those who genuinely seek them. The beauty of the celestial realms lies not just in their landscapes of impossible splendor or their residence of transcendent virtue, but in what they represent. Proof that goodness can endure, that virtue creates its own reward, that the struggle against evil is worth the cost, standing on Lunia's silver shores, or wandering through Arvindor's forests, or wading through Arborea's meadows. You would understand viscerally what philosophy can only describe. Goodness is not weakness, compassion is not naivety, and choosing virtue over vice leads to flourishing rather than suffering. So the next time you face moral choice, the next time you must decide between easy wrong and hard right, remember that celestial realms exist in part because of choices like the one you are making. Remember that angels and archons fight eternal wars to protect your ability to make that choice freely. Remember that paradise awaits those who choose consistently toward goodness, not as bribe or threat, but as natural consequence of becoming the type of being who belongs in such places. And remember that every act of kindness, every moment of courage, every sacrifice for others adds your voice to the eternal hymn that the upper planes sing across the multiverse. A song of hope that will never end as long as good people continue choosing light over darkness. If you have enjoyed this journey through the celestial realms and found value in exploring the lore of the upper planes, I invite you to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Your support allows me to continue researching and sharing these deep explorations of Dungeons and Dragons cosmology, bringing you more content about the fascinating worlds and planes that make up this rich multiverse. Leave a comment sharing which celestial realm resonates most strongly with you. Whether you would choose Mount Celestia's disciplined ascent, Elysium's compassionate peace, or Arborea's passionate freedom. And until next time, may your own journey lead you toward whichever paradise your soul truly seeks.